go to the advisory, I think. It's a good place to start. And pose the question why so few people in Australia actually access financial advice. Andrew Whelan, Dash Technology Group, joins us now to discuss. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Happy Friday.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Is it just the sheer cost? Is it the lack of advisors entering? Like, what is it?
Yeah, it's those. But it's a confluence of things. So younger people don't tend to get engaged in their finances, and particularly in their super, until they earn about as much, or they have as much in super as they earn, and then it starts to feel real. So the average client that tries to seek out financial planning help is about 50s, but is in their 50s, but it's actually starting to trend lower. But to your point, the cost and the regulation and the burden that has been placed on advisors to deliver the advice has meant that the demand has far outstripped the ability for the industry to supply it. So that's where we stand today.
So there's not enough financial advisors to meet the demand, is that what you're saying?
There's not enough financial advisors. So the banks from the Royal Commission have all left. So they called it Wexit, the wealth exit, after the Royal Commission, which was bruising for the banks and A&P. So the advisor cohort dropped from 30,000 to 15,000, so in half. So the advisors that are left are making more money and more profit than they ever have before. So the advisors that are left are more skilled, more educated than ever before, but there's just not enough of them to cope with the demand.
And I guess maybe that's why sometimes, because I've reached out to a few and I'm blown away by what they're asking people that are not high net worth individuals to pay.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they can do that, but then does that also mean a lot of people are not getting financial advice because it's too expensive?
100%. And the advisors are finally, and I do not, I'm glad they're finally in this position because they've been hammered by regulation for the last decade. So we want them to be, we need that industry to be healthy so that people can get the right advice. But the regulator has done so much heavy lifting on behalf of the advice community to enforce unnecessary documentation, which means that when you go and approach an advisor and you don't have more than $500,000, just the percentage fee versus what you're investing becomes a little bit irksome for the advisor to charge it, and so they naturally will let's maybe wait, or this is inappropriate for us to charge so much. So it becomes a bit awkward for them, and sometimes it's just straight up not profitable.
Well, the government is dealing with the future of financial advice, but my thing is, I mean, won't tech solve all our problems?
Well, AI will. AI can. What the industry is really asking the regulator in ASIC, and the Treasury is doing a big review of AI at the moment, not just into our industry, but just across the consumer market in its totality. But one of the big risks that we've been calling out forever is AI, if you deploy it incorrectly, could potentially present cyber risks and concerns around auditability and repeatability and the robustness of advice generation, like what the actual recommendations are. But it has the ability to bring down the back office costs, and all that document generation can just get done by AI agents rather than having to employ people, which ratchets up the costs. So it is a massive opportunity. We're just hoping desperately that it doesn't get regulated out.
So you're talking about houses, so to speak, using AI to help get rid of those menial tasks rather than me going to ChatGPT, how should I make money, right?
Correct. Yeah, well, particularly on, yes, but I've put my own budget into ChatGPT.
Okay.
So I think for basic things like analyse my budget and anonymise your name, but put in your statement, and it will tell you where you spend most of your money. Sometimes it can be shocking, so get ready for it. But so I think for those basic things, AI is great, but it doesn't belong in the hands of advisors. Shouldn't be used by advisors to come up with the strategies, because they're licensed and they're under the gaze of the regulator, and it's a bit of a black box. So if the client comes and complains about their outcome 2 years later, it's going to be very hard to pick apart what the AI agent did to come up with that personalised recommendation. So that's why at Dash we don't believe it should take over advisors, but it should augment it to allow more Australians to get at it.
I'm still stuck on budget. What's a budget? I'm kidding. We've had a lot of investment product failures as of late.
Yeah.
What's going on?
What's going on? Well, I think it's been a really interesting time, and there are investment failures from time to time over the course of the financial planning industry. The recent ones which have been dominating the press of late have been really damaging to the members that are caught up. So there's some 2 billion if you include Shield and your First Guardians and the Dixon one. The people who have been caught up in that and have lost money, it is horrible. It's horrible for them. I think the press have very much covered all the ins and outs, and there's related parties and there's non-disclosed conflicts, and there's lots of press that's covered all of that in detail. The things that I've been thinking about off the back of it, though, is, and based on what we've been talking about already, is with sometimes an over-eager regulator, there is a $3 trillion superannuation business out there, $1 trillion controlled by advisors, which means if 1.2 billion is caught up in the most recent scandal with Guardian and Shield, although that's horrible, it is in the minority, and so most of the advisors and most of the clients are not caught up in it. And so if we're sitting at 1 in 10 Australians, we're at a bit of a tipping point where clearly some people have been impacted adversely, but if we swing too far to the right, that 1 in 10 could turn into a fraction of that if we over-regulate from here.
Baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, horrific though, if you're one of those people that have lost your life savings.
It's horrible.
Now, you won an award. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Wes. No, we've on the regulation front, one of the things that regulations has been really bad for advice, we've covered that, but technology hasn't been as strong as it should be. And one of the things we're doing is using AI to bring the cost of advice down. And so the guys, and this is really the royal we, I had very little to do with it personally, but we've brought the cost of generating a statement of advice down from 8 hours, or the time from 8 hours down to less than 1 for a comprehensive retirement plan. And so the Australian Wealth Management Awards felt free to award us that. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the Dash team